So I spent the latter half of last week at a coin show, and one thing I noticed, and you guys should probably know this if you watch my video on Saturday, and if you haven't, go check it out, is that the price of silver was really low. Now, of course, by low, I don't mean necessarily spot price, but the premiums. In other words, what you were paying over spot was basically nothing, or to a point to where it was actually less than zero. And what I mean by that is in that video, I actually interviewed a dealer who said he dropped the price of his silver to $36 an ounce. That was below spot price, by the way. It was like $36, $35, when he had said that, and he dropped it to $36 an ounce just so he could sell his silver at the coin show. Now, I know most of you know this because I've talked about it on the channel quite a bit recently, but we have been on a tear with silver. I mean, take a look at this. If you look at the last trading day of May, so May 30th of 2025, we had silver at $32.99. Look where we are right now, guys, $37.37. I'm recording this on June 17th of 2025. We have gained $4.38 now in just a couple of weeks. So in reality, it really wasn't that silver was cheap at the show. It was actually quite high at $36 an ounce. And actually on Saturday, there was a dealer that lowered it to $35.50 just so we could sell some of his silver before we left. Now, of course, $37.37 is where spot price is right now. And I think if he knew it was going to go up, another dollar the next week, that he probably wouldn't have went that low. But there is a twofold issue here that is causing the premiums of silver to plummet. And let me explain to you what that is. This is what I got from talking to, 15 dealers on the show, maybe more. Many didn't want to be on camera. Some of them were on that Friday video or Saturday video. You should go check it out. But this is what's going on. There is a twofold issue with silver right now. And the first one is that the people that were buying silver in 2022, 2023, with premiums really high, have been looking, not all of them, of course, but some of them that lost their faith or their belief in silver are looking for an exit. And they found it. At $37 an ounce, they found their exit. And here's what I mean. So back in 2023, when the premiums were sky high on even rounds, they were around $6 an ounce over spot. So silver was 25 plus 6 is 31. Today, even if you were to sell them for $2 back of spot, so we'll do 37.35 minus 2, you can see that they are now selling it for quite a bit more than that 31 that they were paying. In fact, they're making $4.35 an ounce on top of what they paid. Now, of course, many will say there's more nuance to that because it's not really that the value of the silver has went up, right? But it's that the value of the dollar has went down. And I'm going to talk about that, so don't click off of this video so quick. But finishing out this reason, I was obviously a YouTuber in 2023, just like I am today, talking about silver. And there was a ton of hype about silver in that period. I mean, we were still kind of floating around the silver squeeze, people still talking about it, even though it was kind of a colossal failure, right? But there was a ton of people interested in it because of the banking scares, because of inflation. They were looking for ways out of the dollar, the fiat dollar, the ever inflating, the ever devaluing fiat dollar. They were looking for ways out of it, and they looked at silver. Silver was one of them. Silver was one of the popular things, gold as well. And so after things kind of settled down and they started feeling a little bit more comfortable, or it could be also that they just saw that silver didn't do what they were expecting it to do. They were looking for an exit strategy, which wasn't there because the spot price had not went up at all. And if they sell with the high premiums that they paid, they were going to lose their shirt. Well, not today. Now they're not going to lose that shirt. And so all of those people that were buying, even if only 25% of them are wanting to get out of it now that they can, now that they have that exit opportunity, right? That's still a lot of silver. And all of that silver is going into coin shops. And those coin shops are sending it off to wholesalers and in some cases smelters. And that includes 90%. We talked about that on the Saturday video. We talked about how dealers said that they are getting to a point where they're going to get more money for their silver by just sending it direct to a smelter than to the wholesalers. And I would bet, and I don't know this, I'm not a fly on the wall, I don't have any inside information, but I would bet money based on the numbers I've seen from wholesalers lately. I mean, we are talking walking half dollars. They're selling now for 80 cents back of spot. This is wholesalers, by the way. Two dealers selling 80 cents back of spot. I would bet money that they are so inundated with 90% that they are probably doing the same thing. And so if they're going to be sending it off to smelters, then why would dealers even use them as a middleman when not just send it on their own? And so I would bet right now we are seeing a lot of 90% melted. We are seeing a massive influx of silver in the shops, into wholesalers, into dealers. And that kind of feeds in to point number 2 as to why premiums on silver are so low. So while you have all, and we'll talk about the melting of 90% another time. I'm not a fan of melting 90% silver at all. But that whole situation of all that silver coming into these shops is now filtering into problem number 2. And problem number 2 is that silver has went up so quickly that the people that do want to stack it are kind of skittish. They're waiting to see what happens, right? Because we gained over 10%, well over 10% in just a couple of weeks. 37 from 32.99 in just 17 days is an incredible gain. And I think people are looking at it and thinking about what happened back in 2011, 2012, when it hit almost $50 an ounce and it dropped really quick. I think they're worried about that happening again. And so they're like, well, you know what? Maybe I should just wait to add more silver to my stack because it's went up so quickly that I think it's going to correct. I think it's going to go back down. And if that happens, why wouldn't I just wait for it to go back down? So now you have a bunch of stackers that still want to stack that are waiting for it to go back down because they feel like it's went up so quickly. And you have a bunch of people that stacked in 2023 that bought a ton of silver, because it was so exciting. And even with the high premiums, they're now getting out of it. So you have two sides. And both of these are affecting local coin shops, online dealers, wholesalers, and that is why you are seeing the premiums on silver, on rounds, on bars, on 90% basically disappear. Now, I know that there are going to be people that comment down below that say, oh, well, it doesn't stay on the shelves in my shop. You know what? Maybe you're lucky and you have or your shop's lucky and they have the clientele that is willing to buy all of their silver. But I have talked to not just one shop, not just 5 shops, not just 10. I talked to dozens of dealers on phones. I've talked to dealers at the coin show I was just at. Gosh, I don't even know how many I talked. It had to have been 20. I went around to all these tables, talked to all these dealers, just got some notes, took some notes as to what they said, asked if they wanted to be on camera. A few of them did. And they all are saying the same thing. So maybe your one dealer has it flying off the shelves. I have no idea, but that is not the norm right now. Silver is in a very weird position of people selling it and no one buying it, and both for the same reason, because of what spot price has done. Now, there's one more thing I want to cover when it comes to the price of silver right now, and keep in mind that this is what I'm going to call a preemptive comment response. Now, I don't mean that negatively. I actually prefer when people leave comments. It helps the channel because YouTube sees, interaction. And I really appreciate you guys leaving comments, hitting the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. But there is a comment that I will probably get on this video because when you've been doing YouTube as long as I have, you get used to the types of comments you're going to get. And the comment that I'm probably going to get is this. They're going to say something to the tune of, it's not, Seeker, that the value of either silver has went up. It's that the value of the dollar has went down. And you know what? I don't disagree at all. There is 100% some truth to that. The value of the dollar has definitely plummeted. And so as a result, you need more dollars to buy things than you used to. You need more dollars for gas. You need more dollars for food. You need more dollars for silver. But believe it or not, it's actually both, because the value of the silver has also went up. And we're not even talking back to 1964. Also, I'm going to show you a very honest example of that a lot of people don't touch on. But it's not even going back to 1964. We can look back 10 years. So one of these kilo bars, this isn't even 10 years, it's like 8 years. One of these kilo bars I paid $17 an ounce for. So let me show, I don't know which one it is, but it was $17 an ounce. Let me throw up a calculator and show you how that works doing the math. So we're going to take $17 an ounce. We're going to multiply it by 32.15. That's how many troy ounces of silver that is in 1 kilo. And for those of you that don't know, silver is not traded on your kitchen scale of Vortapoi ounces. It's traded on troy. It's quoted in troy. It's always troy. 32.15 troy ounces of silver per kilo times 17 means that I paid $546. Let's make life really easy and just say $550 I paid for my 1 kilo silver bar. Now, let's keep being honest. We're going to go ahead and use 37.35, but we're going to keep being honest by saying there's no way in heck I'm going to walk into a coin shop and sell a kilo bar for spot. Not happening. Not happening in today's market. Not even close. So let's be honest and subtract 235, and we're only going to get $35 an ounce for a kilo silver bar. That is $2.35 back of spot if we take it to a shop. Some shops may pay a little bit more, some shops may pay less, but you're not getting spot. So 35 times 32.15. Now we have $1,125 minus our $550. That is a doubling of the value of this silver, even when you factor in premiums that I'm going to lose when I sell it. That is a doubling in value in 8 years. Now, there has been a lot of inflation in the last 8 years, but nothing has really doubled except for maybe you can argue housing, because home prices have definitely doubled and many people say it's a bubble. That's fine. But I mean, gasoline, food, electricity, energy, so on and so forth. None of that has actually doubled. It has went up. No question about it. It has went up, but it has not actually doubled. So the value of the silver has went up more than inflation. And let me show you an even deeper example. And this is where we're going to get, once again, really honest. So I'm sure you have heard the quarter story. A 1964 quarter would get you a gallon of gas in 1964, and today it would get you a gallon of gas because of the value of the silver in the quarter. You've heard the story, but that's actually not 100% accurate. You see, what a lot of people actually don't tell you is that the average price of a gallon of gas in 1964 wasn't a quarter. It was actually 30 cents. So let's use that and I'll show you something. What we're going to do to normalize this is find out how many gallons of gas $1 of silver quarters would get you. And that's really simple to do. You just take 1 divided by 0.3 or by 30 cents. So we would get 3.33 gallons of gasoline for $1 in silver quarters, or a dollar bill back then. Now let's look at the average price of a gallon of gas today. So today, the average price of a gallon of gas is $3.17. We're going to round that up. So 3.17 or $3.17 for 1 gallon of gas today. So now that we know that, we can easily figure out how many gallons of gas we could get for $1 of 90% silver quarters today. Again, back then it was 3.33 gallons. So all we have to do that is take our 37.35. And again, let's be honest here. We're not going to use spot price. Let's subtract that premium. Let's say we sell it for $2.35 back a spot. Now we're working at $35. You walk in with 90%. A good shop's going to pay you $35 per ounce, which comes out to, if we multiply it by 0.715, they're going to pay you $25 per dollar. If you were to sell it to a shop today. Again, some shops are going to be less, some are more, but that's $2.35 an ounce back of spot. So using that 25, if we divide our average cost of gas, which was $3.17, today, 4 quarters will get you 7.89 gallons. Remember, in 1964, 4 quarters would get you 3.33 gallons. So the value of silver has definitely went up, versus gas. And I've actually shown this in other videos where it's not just gas, but a couple of years ago, I did one that showed it wasn't gas, but it was also food, labor, even housing. An ounce of silver would actually buy you more of all of that today than it would have in 1964. So yes, obviously, the value of the dollar has plummeted. No one's arguing that. I agree 100%. And that's why we need to be on gold and silver standards. That's why gold and silver need to be real money. But the value of silver has also went up as well. But that's really all I have for you today. But I do want to say a huge thank you if you guys are watching this video this far for, supporting the video by watching it in full. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. I would really appreciate it. Leave me a comment down below. And also, guys, I have a new members only video coming out very soon. If you are not a channel member yet, check out my channel membership tiers by clicking the join button. And if you do become a member, thank you so much for supporting the channel directly. You guys are awesome. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.